Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into some major shakeups in the global auto world, specifically what's happening over in China. We've got some pretty surprising news, actually. An established giant closing a big plant, another one, filing for bankruptcy in China. It's quite something. So our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to use the sources you've given us to really unpack what's going on for these global car companies in China right now. And, it's not just about cars, is it? It feels bigger technology shifts, fierce competition. Who's really dominating the market? It's high stakes.
Absolutely. And you really hit on something key there, China. It isn't just another market for these global players. Often it's the most important one. The scale, the influence, it's massive. So when things shift there, like we're seeing now, the ripples go everywhere across the whole global economy. That's why this news is so significant.
Okay, let's start with Volkswagen then. Because the headline news is they're closing their plant in Nanjing, China later this year. I mean, VW, they're such a fixture. Closing a major plant like that, it definitely makes you stop and think, what's going on?
It really does. And this Nanjing plant, it wasn't insignificant. It was opened back in 2008, part of their joint venture, SAIC Volkswagen. It was actually their fourth plant in China, capable of pushing out, over 360,000 gas cars a year. Things like the Passat, the Skoda Superb. So yeah, a big facility.
Right, 360,000 capacity.
Yeah.
So why close it then? Was it just sales weren't there? Or is something else happening strategically?
It seems like a bit of both, actually. The sources do say output was lagging, sales were slower. That's part of it. But maybe the bigger piece is this strategic shift. A lot of these SAIC Volkswagen sites are being, converted, retooled for EV production. And in this specific case, the Passat production, it's not disappearing. It's moving to another plant nearby in the same province. So it's less a full stop, more a strategic shuffle.
Oh, okay, a shuffle. That makes sense. So is VW going all in on electric in China then? Or are they trying to keep a foot in both camps, gas and electric?
They're being pretty open about trying to do both, at least for now. Their official line is promoting oil and electricity together. So yes, they're keeping production going for popular gas models, the Passat, Levita, Tiguan, T-Roc. But at the same time, really trying to ramp up their EV game. It's a dual strategy.
And are they seeing any success with that EV push?
Yeah, it looks like there's some traction. SAI Volkswagen sales for the first half of 2025 were actually up slightly, about 2.3% year over year, hitting around 523,000 vehicles. And they're launching new EVs, the ID.4X Smart Edition, the 2025 ID.3 Smart Edition, the ID.3 GTX. Plus, later this year, they've got the Audi E5 Sportback coming. And that one's based on their new advanced digitized platform.
Right, the advanced digitized platform.
Yeah.
Basically their next-gen EV architecture, right?
Yeah.
Highly scalable.
Exactly. And they're touting a really impressive range for that Audi 770 kilometers on the CLTC cycle. That's about 478 miles? That's a serious number, especially using the local Chinese test cycle.
Yeah, 770 kilometer CLTC is definitely competitive. So it sounds like they have a longer-term plan here.
They do. SAIC VW is framing 2026 as their big product year for NEV's new energy vehicles, so battery electrics, plug-in hybrids, the whole range, and intelligent vehicles. The plan, launch over 20 new vehicles in those categories by 2030. So you see, closing Nanjing fits into that. It's about making space, physically and strategically, for this huge EV and smart car push.
Okay, so VW is pivoting, adapting, but then we look at Stellantis, the Jeep maker, and it's a much tougher story in China, isn't it? They're actually filing for bankruptcy for their joint venture with JC Group, GAC Fact. That's not adaptation. That's basically pulling the plug on local manufacturing.
That's exactly the difference. It's a much starker outcome. And this wasn't totally out of the blue, I suppose. They announced plans to end the JV back in July 2022. And interestingly, since October of that year, any Jeeps sold in China has actually been an import. So they already stopped local production a while back. But yes, unlike VW, which is reconfiguring factories, Stellantis is essentially saying we're out of the direct manufacturing game here. It's a full retreat from making cars locally.
Wow. So one giant adapts, another retreats. It really throws the spotlight on who is winning in China, right? And the answer seems increasingly clear. China's own EV companies.
Absolutely. While these legacy players are figuring things out or struggling, you've got companies like BYD just soaring. They're grabbing market share incredibly fast.
Didn't BYD overtake VW and Tesla last year to become the #1 brand in China?
They did indeed. Overtook VW, the longtime leader, and Tesla. And according to the sources, they've only increased that lead since then. It's a massive shift in the pecking order.
The numbers are just staggering.
Yeah.
In June alone, BYD sold over 382,500 vehicles, which pushed their sales for the first half of the year past 2.1 million. That's up 33% from the first half of 2024. I mean, that kind of growth is just phenomenal.
It really is. And a big part of how BYD did it, according to the analysis, is by just fully committing to electric propulsion early on. They really jumped on what's being called this once-in-a-generation shift to EVs. They didn't just dip a toe in, they went all in.
And it's not just BYD, is it? There are others.
Oh, definitely not. You've got XPeng, NAO, even Xiaomi getting into the game now. They're all launching these advanced EVs, often with longer ranges, more tech. And yeah, they are putting serious pressure on the global OEMs, the traditional manufacturers within China.
And now they're looking outwards too, right? Expanding overseas.
Exactly. These Chinese brands aren't just staying home, they're starting to compete directly with Ford, GM, VW, Toyota in Europe, Southeast Asia, Latin America. It's becoming a global competition. There's a great quote summing it up. The Chinese are ascendant, along with the Koreans. The Japanese are on the defensive. It really feels like a fundamental power shift in the whole industry.
Okay, so we've seen VW adapting, Stellantis exiting, Chinese brands surging. Let's bring it back to the listener. Why should someone tuning in care about these shifts happening halfway around the world in China's car market?
Well, first, think about innovation. What's happening in China? It's like an incubator on fast forward. The intense competition, specific government pushes, consumers who are really eager for new tech, it's forcing incredibly rapid development in EVs, batteries, software, autonomous features. What's cutting edge there today often becomes the benchmark globally pretty quickly. So it directly influences the kind of tech you'll find in your next car wherever you buy it.
Right. So the features we might take for granted in a few years could be getting battle-tested in China right now.
Precisely. And that ties into consumer choice. This competition dictates what becomes standard, how much range is considered good, what level of in-car tech is expected. The bar is being set, or at least heavily influenced, by what's succeeding in that hyper-competitive Chinese market. It shapes the choices you'll have.
And there's maybe a broader lesson here, too, about adaptation.
I think so. These stories, VW trying to pivot, Stellantis pulling back, BYD surging, they're really stark examples of how established industries have to react to disruption. It shows that adapting sometimes isn't enough. It might require completely reinventing your approach almost overnight when a generational shift like the move to EVs happens so quickly. China's market basically went from IC dominant to EV heavy in what, less than a decade? That speed is the real lesson. You have to recognize those huge shifts and commit, or you risk getting left behind fast.
So that's the picture then. This intense dynamic between the legacy global players trying to navigate this new world and these incredibly fast-moving Chinese EV companies rewriting the rule book.
Yeah.
It's constantly changing, and the stakes are incredibly high for everyone involved.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. As these Chinese EV brands push more aggressively overseas and the legacy automakers are scrambling to bring out their own truly next-generation EVs, what does that really mean for the future of driving globally? How fast can the established giants realistically catch up or adapt to a market like China's that embraced such a profound change so quickly? And maybe think about what lessons does this hold for other big industries facing their own potential disruptions, whether it's AI, energy, or something else. It's fascinating to watch.